Okay, hey guys, Anime West Reacts here. Bit late with this one. We're going to be reacting to Seraph of the End, chapter 150. So yeah, hope you'll enjoy this video. If you do, then yeah, stick around. Be sure you leave a like on it. And yeah, let's get into this. So, an Anti-Heroic Awakening is the chapter title. So we got Farad versus Sigurd. He says, Sigurd says, now that I've seen you, I can tell that you aren't powerful enough to beat me, Mr. Philistine. And he says, oh, but all my all my calculations say that I'm at a level where I can. And he says, you sure you weren't figuring on the old me? Yeah, figuring your calculations on the old him. I've grown stronger lately, too. He's like, I guess we'll see. Are you ready, father? I'm gonna come at you and hope that I've managed to catch up. He's like, sure, bring it on. And then he starts using chains, or Sigurd sends out a ton of chains. Farad dodges them and pulls a sword. And yeah, he's like, you're fast. He's like, you're fast. And then you see the chain, one of his chains has been sliced. And he's like, but I'm faster. He's like, I'm holding back. I'm actually lots faster. He's like, then let's pick up the pace. As he gets part of his head blown off. He has to fall back, and he says, "You think you can run that? You think you can run away that slowly?" As the chains are chasing him, Farad sticks his hand out, and I guess yeah, well, shoots one out of him. Yeah, shoots one out of his own hands and goes through Riggers, and he's like, Farad's like, yes, once my chains have stabbed you. And he's like, that spell doesn't work on me. You're too weak, Farad. Too weak by half. Whew. And then Rigger draws a line with his finger. And then suddenly a huge slash goes through and destroys the buildings in the area. Whew. But yeah, Farad manages to survive it. Chains kind of wrapping around him. Or coming undone from around him or something. Or chain lands behind him, and then it seems Farad comes out of it. And Rigger's like, just that alone drained a lot of your power, Mr. Philistine. Are you really such a fool that you'd think you could take me on as you are now? And then Farad's like, come on, father. Did you really have to go that hard? You're blowing my expectations out of the water. He's like, you expect me to believe that? The next strike will have everything I've got. And so Farad's like, what? You haven't given it everything yet. You haven't given it everything already yet. He's like, because I'm not facing a fool, there's a trap in here somewhere. Where is it, I wonder? I'll find it if I crush it. And Farad's like, aw, come on. With this big a power gap, I wish you'd underestimate me a tiny bit. And so yeah, Ziggurat's like, why? Doing that'd be meaningless. And then yeah, Farad's like, meaningless, huh? Meaningless. And then we go into the inner world with the tree, and he's like, Kid Farad's like, oh man, it's so unfair how powerful he is. Is this even going to be in time? And someone says, hey Farad. It's Crowley. He says, I was looking through your memories. And then he's like, Farad's like, hey, no poking in there without asking first. He's like, if you're so dead set on breaking the chains of rebirth, does that mean you're an antinatalist? He's like, come on, I said no poking around. Whew. And Farah's like, when you do that, I get stuck watching your stupid past too. And from what I saw, none of you had lives like, boy, I sure glad I was born. It's like, Crew's like, well, duh, what'd you expect? We spend our lives desperately trying to survive, only to wind up devoured by a loon like you. He's like, Farah's like, hey now, don't go blaming other people for your crappy life, your majesty. He's like, Krill's like, excuse me? And he's like, no, really think. Why were we all born? Why have we all lived this long? Where's the point? Where's the meaning to it all? Can anyone here answer me that? Ferret says, is it me or... Yeah. Crowley says, is it me or does Ferret look like he's having extra fun today? And then Chess. I know one of them's name is Chess. One of them, I forget. One says it's not you, and one says he is. They were Crowley's, like, servants. But, yeah, he says, I've devoured over 400 of you. Did any of you have a meaning to your life? If so, stand up and tell us about it. We'll all listen. Go on, stand up. Isn't there anyone at all? And he's like, this many of you, and not a one of you, you all suck. Crowley's like, that's hardly nice, Spirit. And it's like, everyone's unhappy because you ate them. And he's like, no, I saved them. We're stuck in a meaningless world, living meaningless lives full of suffering, and then we die meaningless deaths. To top it all off, they say we come back and do that again and again. And that sucks. You all think that too, admit it. Crowley's like, boy, Farad, you really are a Philistine. He's like, aw, are you going to call me that too? Crowley says, looking back on it all, life was fun. Life for me was pretty fun. And Crowley's like, what are you trying to show off? Okay, then, you stand up and give us a speech. Tell us about how fun it was when all your friends on the Crusaders got massacred. He says, that wasn't fun, but there was fun stuff. A weirdo attached himself to me as my partner for one. We spent centuries hanging out together. And he's like, Ferret says, wow, he sounds like a nice guy. Was he? And Crowley says, he was the absolute worst. And Ferret's like, anyway, back on topic. Did you find a meaning to your life? And he says, actually, I realized that trying to find meaning in life is kind of gauche. Gosh? Gauche. And Ferret says, and all the centuries-old vampires in here agree with you. Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, like, that's not problematic. And he says, maybe. And Ferret says, this is worth getting mad over. I could be all like, what the hell is wrong with you? And he's like, Ferret yells, why was I even born? Why did I have to go through all this? The whole world is just a dumb, boring game with a way too obvious finale. Let's all band together and put an end to it. And then, yeah, Crow looks at him, and then Crowley's guys just kind of look at him. They all have, like, the same expression that they're, like, not interested. And then, yeah, Crowley is, like, clapping, saying, look at you getting all hyped up. You're enjoying life. And he says, might as well, this close to the end. And Crowley says, that's totally valid. Watching you be dumb made it feel like there really was a meaning to life. And it says, hey, that was a dig at me, wasn't it? And he's like, yep. No, not yep. And then he laughs, and then there's suddenly a creak. And Ferret's like, the long journey is nearly at its end. He says, the past of all 400 vampires are finally beginning to merge. For 1 second, just 1 instant, I'll be able to use everyone's power all at once. The recoil from it will kill me, though. He's like, well then, everyone, let's do it. And then, yeah, Crowley says, what's the plan? Are you going to beat Dad and that's the end of this life? You haven't done anything about the chain of rebirth. The humans certainly aren't going to use the sinful keys to break that cycle. Which means all of us are just going to wind up as immortal demons after today. If not, we'll just be reborn again. And then Krill says, what? Really? So your life will wind up just as meaningless as you claimed ours were. And Ferret's like, good point. Do I lose then? He's like, man, this is why I hate living. And then, yeah. Crowley's like, let's at least make a flashy finale. We've done everything we could to prepare for it. All of us lived our lives the best we could. And he's like, good job, Ferret. I didn't exactly do this because I wanted to be complimented. And then, yeah, Crowley's like, you did a really good job. And then he just smiles. And Krill's like, Horn. Okay. That was Chess and Horn. So yeah, Horn disappears. And then the other one yells, "Wah, horn," so I guess it's chess. And then, yeah, Cruel says, "If you're going to do this, you better win." And then she disappears, I assume. And then, yeah, Carly's like, "Well, see you in the next life, I guess." He's like, "I don't want to." He's like, "Bye, Ferret." And he's like, "Yeah, bye." Ooh. And then, yeah, he's like, end of the chapter, Ferret says, "Ooh. Oh, it was in time. Now I win." And then, yeah, Mercury's like, "Are you sure?" And so, yeah, that's the chapter. Hope y'all enjoy this one. Pretty good one overall. We got Ferret, and the vampires, I guess, going out in their final attack, pretty much, I guess. They're gonna merge all their power into one, and then Ferret's, apparently the recoil will kill him. But, yeah, like they kind of mentioned, there's still the whole cycle of rebirth thing, so even if they die, when the world is reset again, they'll just come back. If it happens anyway, but yeah. Leave a like on this video, sub the channel if you enjoyed this one, hit the notification bell, and I will see you all for the next one in a few weeks. So,